welcome back to Athletistry Ballet Evolution. My name is Shane Werthner. I'm your host, and today we have a very special guest. Daisy Sexton is going to be joining us. I'm super excited to have Daisy on because the times that I've been able to work with her and coach her, she's just been like the ideal student. And it's been this really incredible process of watching her grow and develop over the past couple of years. And I thought before she heads off to her next journey, which we'll end up talking about, I'm sure, in this podcast, I wanted to get her on to talk about how she feels like she's evolved over the past couple of years and what that can do to help dancers out there who are probably at the same point in their lives who are looking to take that next step. So welcome, Daisy.
Hi.
So
Hi, everyone.
Daisy, can you maybe just tell us a story that you feel has impacted your life over the last couple of years that has changed the way that you approach your dancing or had given you some sort of insight into how to progress faster or better for yourself?
Yeah, definitely. So I think it was 2020. I had a pretty big injury. So I was just like, it was around Christmas time and I was just messing around after all dance concerts with my sister. And I did my ACL. So I tore my ACL and I didn't know really what that was, but I found out pretty quick that that's a very big injury. So because I was quite young, I went and saw a surgeon and I had to go through the whole 12-month process of the surgery and recovering. So I think from that, now that I'm 3 years past that, it's really changed the way I look at strength training because I really have to stay on top of it. And I think it's really important to stay really consistent with it. So, yeah, and that's how I met you as well, because when I did my ACL, I think it was around COVID time and everyone was posting on Instagram. So you reached out to me and we started the whole knee strength and, yeah, it's been really good, yeah.
Yeah. So Daisy, how old were you when you injured your ACL?
So I think I was 11.
11, yes.
Like, yeah, 11.
That's
Yeah.
very
So,
young. Yeah. And do you feel like it impacted your dancing? Like, I mean, obviously you were off dancing, but how did, because you would have been off for nearly a year. How did that change your approach?
Yeah. So I think just because I was off for a year, I was watching everyone else dance and I was like feeling as if I was going to fall really behind because everyone else was just going, and I was stuck with my knee. So I had to really find what I could do, even though like I had a bad knee. Like I found like things that I could still do, even though I had this problem. So I think now I really like can still find lots of different things that I can still do, even if you are injured. So I think, yeah, that's really helped me a lot.
Yeah. So I remember seeing you. I think you must have been more than 6 months post operation at the point that I reached out to you.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think I remember just seeing you posting about having torn your ACL, and I was like, oh my God, like the fact that you were so young, and I was just, wow, she's torn her ACL at such a young age, and to have to deal with that kind of injury. I thought, okay, well, I have some understanding of how to, at least help to strengthen your legs. And I knew you probably were getting physio and treatment outside of everything to make sure you were in a better place. But I think I just said, hey, here's some exercises you can do once you're recovered, once you're healthy, and just sent you some videos and was like, here, just try this, right?
Yeah, I remember it was amazing. And like, I could just do them every day because I had it on the video and it was super easy for me because none of it was hurting my knee. So it was just strengthening. So yeah,
perfect.
It was great. Yeah.
So what was the process back? So obviously it was like 12 months that you were kind of off. Did you just like, I know a lot of dancers are like, okay, so what do I do? How do I get back into dancing? Was it a slow kind of grind back into getting in shape? Did you find it really challenging, or was the support for you to grow and get back into it quickly?
So I found like, because obviously in ballet, I'm like always trying to like get to the next thing, really not fast, but trying to improve all the time. And I found when I did my knee that it was a bit like, whoa, because I like could not do much for the first 2 months. Like you just had to sit back and let it heal. And like try and get the mobility back into it and everything. So that was quite a slow process for me. And then once I sort of hit the point where I could walk on it without crutches and start doing proper exercises, I found that that was really helpful because I could just like do all my strength and and then it got to a point where my knee was fine and then I had to try and jump on it. So I remember I had to then start jump training. So lots of things with like jump board on a reformer just slowly. And then I had to then build that up. And so, I think because I kept having to stop and then go and stop and go with all the different things, by the time I got back to ballet, I was just like, oh, I can turn and I can jump. And I was like, I'm never going to take this for granted ever again.
Yeah.
But it was, I couldn't jump and turn at first until it was about 10 months and I still couldn't jump and turn. So I had to definitely be patient with it for sure.
Yeah.
But
I remember doing some of those Zoom classes online, and definitely you were not looking at doing any type of jumping or turning. There were even things where we would one side you could do stuff and then the other side you couldn't. I remember definitely
yes.
part of it.
Yeah.
So you mentioned something along the lines of that kind of stop and start and that steady progression and taking things and not taking for granted what you could do before, right? Like something I think a lot of us do take for granted is just the ability to move without injury. Right? Like being able to just get up and walk into the kitchen and go for a run or do whatever you want to do. Where all of a sudden you're injured and now that's taken away, it can be kind of a shock.
For sure.
Not just physically, but also mentally. Did you find that you went through any struggle, psychologically? Like was it a challenge day in, day out to kind of get up and keep going and keep pushing through that?
Yeah, I found it was just like, at first I was just so like down in the dumps with it all because I didn't know what the next 12 months were going to look like for me. So I'd never heard of this before because I was so young. And so I remember I was just watching different documentaries of other athletes that had gone through similar things. And so I kept trying to look to the bright side of it, but I didn't, I guess because I was looking at other people's experiences and I did see that they got through it. I was like, I could tell that I would too. So and then I also, while I couldn't do anything, I found lots of like ballets online that I could watch. And so I was watching like my favorite dancers and trying to, even though I couldn't do anything, see what I could take away from just watching them. Because when we're so busy, I feel like you don't really have that much time just to sit down and like have a look. Yeah,
and I think that's a really important point, actually. The whole going on and finding not other students, but people who are professional, very high level dancers that you admire. And taking that opportunity, which obviously you did, to look at port de bras, to look at quality of movement, and to look at artistry. All of that stuff comes together. We often get so caught up in the practice of ballet that we forget that we can take things from other artists. We can I don't want to say steal, but we can kind of say, okay, well, how do they get it to look like that? How do they move that way? How do they create that impact on the audience? When you're taking that moment to pause yourself physically, but continue to work mentally, it can actually allow you to be more creative and to understand better yourself, so that when you do get back into that practice of being able to move again, now you have a different way of approaching it. You're not just going in and doing the tricks or the movements. You're actually say, okay, well, now I understand that the reason why this is here is for another step later on, or to progress later on. So I think
I found
go ahead.
I was going to say I found that watching like professionals and like all their artistry and everything made me a lot more comfortable on stage, being able to just like express everything and just not be just like smiley and everything, but to actually make it more like, more artistic than just a smile on stage. So now,
Daisy, do you have a dream company that you'd like to dance for?
Definitely do. My like number one dream is the Royal Ballet. They're like everything. Yeah.
So was that already there when you injured yourself? Were you already enamored with the Royal Ballet at that point, or was that something that developed after the injury?
I think I always knew of it, but I never really thought how to get there so much. But when I started to sit down and just watch them, I was like, I love the way that they're doing everything. And I was like, I love the UK. Like, that's my favorite place ever. So I just thought, like, yeah, Royal Ballet, London. I just, yeah, thought that would be amazing.
Yeah. So was that an inspiration for you to get back? Because I know some of the dancers there obviously have actually had some pretty major injuries in recent years that have been very publicized, and their recoveries have been publicized.
Yeah.
Is that something that, even looking at the wellness space in the Royal Ballet and the way that they take care of their dancers, that would have to be something, obviously, also. It's not just about the company and the way the dancers work and perform, but also the way that they're taken care of. I'm sure that would be something that was an impact for you.
Yeah, for sure. I've got lots of friends that are in even just the school, and the sort of facilities that they have access to look really amazing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I always thought that would be good for me. Yeah.
So post ACL injury, you come back, you're getting back into shape, everything's going well. Was there anything else that came up in the last couple of years that was a challenge? Like, was it like a smooth sailing? Okay, now my knee's good, I'm going to go forward and everything's going to be great, or were there other?
I wish. No, I was not done there. So last Christmas, I fractured my foot. So, and every injury I've had has happened around Christmas time for me. So I think it's just that build up of like concert rehearsals, and you're probably not doing as much strength as you'd want to be. And so I'm just sort of welcoming an injury, I felt like, at that point. Yeah, so I fractured my left foot in my third metatarsal. So I was booted until for like, I think it was 8 weeks, maybe. I think, yeah. And that meant I couldn't go to YGP finals, and lots of opportunities I missed out on because I couldn't like prepare over the holidays to do the comps like I wanted to. So yeah, and then I had to like whip the boot off quickly, not quickly because it was a long time, but I had Alana Haynes Awards like earlier on in the year. So lucky for me, my boot came off in time, and because I was doing all the strength work, even still while I was in the boot, I hadn't lost all my strength after coming out. Yeah.
You continued, and I know we continued to work on stuff without impacting the leg. Like we did upper body work, worked on the other leg.
Yeah.
We kept going and continuing to maintain your levels of strength, so that when you did come back to dance, it wasn't like you were going to just jump back in and have to start from zero again. You would have still a pretty good baseline that you could work with to come back.
Yeah. I remember we even like used the boot as a weight so that I could still lift my leg and keep it strong, and
and like some hip flexor exercises.
Everything I had. Yeah. So that was really good. Yeah.
So all of these setbacks, like it's got to be frustrating, right? Like it's something, you're going, you've got goals and you've got plans and you've got things that you're working towards, and then it drops back, and then you've got things that you're working towards, and then it drops back.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that has helped you to understand the actual progression of things in life? Like everyone kind of looks and it's like, okay, well, it's going to be success upon success upon success upon success. But the reality of anything in life, any process, is that you're going to, take a couple steps forward, and then you might take some steps back, and then you might take more steps back, and then, okay, now I got to get right back up that hill, build that momentum again.
Yes.
So do you feel like that's changed your approach to things? Do you have a different approach since having to go through kind of these struggles and setbacks that you've been through?
Yeah, I think because obviously it hasn't just all been amazing for me. I've had a few setbacks for sure, but I think I've been able to now look at them as things that I've learned, and I'm sure I wouldn't have a lot of opportunities that I have now if I hadn't learned those things or met those people. So I think even though it was obviously like horrible to have 12 months of dancing and seeing everyone else dancing, and I was just thinking, oh my gosh, like I'm going to be so behind. I think I was still able to find like some positives out of it and keep going. So, and it has taught me like a lot of resilience as well, I think. So if something does sort of hit me, I'm not just like crushed straight away. I can sort of come back from it. So yeah.
So something pretty incredible happened to you earlier this year in Sydney, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was that? Tell us about that.
So in Sydney, I competed in the Sydney Stedford, and I won the junior Robert Elizabeth Albert Sydney Stedford scholarship, which is very big in Australia. So, and that was, I think 14 and 15-year-olds were in that section. So it was my first year I was able to compete in it, and I'm still 14. So I was very lucky and super grateful to have been able to win that, because that has been like a big dream of mine and goal that I've like set since I was little, because I used to love Sydney Stedford because my great grandma won it as well. So
Oh wow,
it's always been pretty special to me. So
very cool.
yeah.
So there's a deep personal connection to that as well.
Yeah, I was like very excited to be down there for that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So as far as the setbacks, right? Like, because I know that there were things, there were competitions. Obviously, YAGP finals was something that you wanted to do, and going overseas, competing on an international stage, that kind of stuff. And I remember, talking with you and your mom when that fracture happened, and kind of discussion around, do we kind of push and get back into it as quickly as we can? Do we go? Do we not go? And I think something that can be kind of taken from your story and your experience is that in the moment, it feels like everything is gone, right? Like it feels like all the stuff I've been working for, I've been pushing, and then something happens and it's gone. But then in hindsight now, like if you look back on everything that's happened to you since 2020, it's almost like those things were there to prepare you to be ready to go into Sydney Stedford and take that next step. Right? Like that outcome, that event maybe would not have happened for you the same way that it did had you not built up the strength, had you not done the understanding, that work that you had gone through to watch all those answers and learn from them, to seek out help from other coaches, to find situations that were actually going to develop you, not specifically for an event, but to develop you as an artist and as a person. Right? And I think, had you not gone through that adversity, you wouldn't be the same dancer. You wouldn't be the same person. You wouldn't be moving into new and exciting things. Going forward.
No, I agree with that. Yeah, for sure. I think, yes, it taught me so much that has prepared me for everything that I'm going to do. So yeah.
So what's next, Daisy?
Well, I'm leaving to go live in the UK in mid-January.
Very excited.
So yeah, I'm very excited because I competed in YGP in Paris, and Sander Blommaert, who's ex-Royal Ballet, had students coming over as well. So he was there with me and looked after me while I was there. So I knew coming back to Australia that we'd come on holidays. So I thought I may as well, since I love the UK so much, come back with you and do a bit of training. So I did that, and yeah, I loved it there. So I'm going back in January. And I think being in the UK will be really good for me because you have access to so much there. Like there's always like workshops on with so many amazing people, and there's the ballet scene so big there that I'm gonna love it.
Oh, fantastic! It's a big step, I think, in any young dancer's training process, to take that step away from home, right? And I think it does.
Sure.
It's obviously scary for parents. Being a parent myself, like if I think now, if I were to send my daughter overseas, like, oh my God, that's such a scary thing.
Yeah.
But also knowing where I was when I was 12 years old and I left home, it was exciting. It was new. There was suddenly it wasn't just ballet with my friends. It was ballet with other people who wanted to become dancers.
Also,
it was a different environment. So with all the fear, obviously, of going out into the world and taking on that kind of more adult process, there's also that exciting development that, I think, Daisy, you're about to head into a really cool time in your life, because you're going to take all of that experience that you got from, from
Mm,
injuries and from the processes that you've had to go through the last few years. And you're already
yes.
very mature and very intelligent around taking care of
Thank you.
yourself. That when you now take that into the next step with Sander, who is a fantastic teacher, and it looks like he's doing some
Yeah.
amazing things over there in the UK,
Yeah.
it's a new horizon for you to take on. And so
Yes.
I think you've got some exciting things coming up. It's going to be a really cool opportunity for you. And I think
Yeah.
if there's I guess I'd like you to kind of come out and say, like, if there's one thing that you could offer to young dancers who are maybe, looking up to you, right? Like they see you and they see what you do on social media, and they see that, how you've been able to come back from these things and still be able to move forward. Maybe
Yeah.
there are other young dancers out there who are dealing with injury right now, who are scared that it's
Mm.
not going to work out for them. Is there something that you would say to them that might help them through right now that would just get them to that next place?
Yeah, I would just say try and make the most, even if it's not going great, if you try and make the most out of everything. Because I remember I was 11 and I was thinking, oh, I've still got, 5 years until I leave, but it comes quick. And I just think try and make the most out of every opportunity that you're given, because there's always so much you can learn from everyone. And yeah, I think stay consistent with everything that you do, because that's definitely the key. Because I think I wonder if I could have avoided some things, if I'd over when I was having concerts and stuff, if I'd just been able to really keep up my strength. But yeah, I think you can learn so much still from setbacks. So just try and stay really positive and look for the bright side. Yeah, that's what I'd say.
100%. I love that. Yeah, I think, you mentioned consistency. Consistency is the key to
Mm.
making sure that everything continues in the path that you want it to go. And look, there are going to be times when things happen. Injuries happen,
Yeah.
accidents happen.
Yeah.
Rehearsals for things take away from strength training, and vice versa. Sometimes you're doing so much training that you don't have the energy to put into the studio. It's all a learning process. It's all part of that development of what we're trying to become, which is dancers and artists and really elite athletes in many ways. So
Yes.
I think I'm massively proud of the work that you've done, Daisy. I think you're an
Oh,
inspiration
thank you.
to lots of young dancers around the world, and I'm excited for the
Thank
future,
you.
for where you're headed. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, well, I couldn't have done a lot of it without you, because you really helped me through all my injuries and was there for me when I wasn't doing great. So yeah, thank you.
It's been an honor. So Daisy, where can people find more out about you if they're just listening to this for the first time, maybe they've never seen you, where can they see more of what you do, watch your progress, maybe follow your career path, because I'm sure it's going to be a bright one.
So yeah, you can find me pretty much on every social media at Dancing with Daisy. So yeah, that's my Instagram, my TikTok, and just Dancing with Daisy.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming today, Daisy. I really appreciate it. Guys, go follow Daisy on social media, follow her journey. And then when she's a bright star principal dancer with the Royal Ballet, you can say that you saw her win. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening, guys. See you on the next one.
Bye, guys.